welcome to this week's video. For this week, I'm going to be doing my book haul for the month of November. This is a few books from that top shelf there that I still have to show you guys as I move those books there to my TBR. So let's just jump right into the first book that I have to show you is James Rowland's The Doomsday Key, and so I will be going through them and reading the back blurbs for you. And let me just get comfy here. Okay, so The Doomsday Key by James Rowland, and has an insert cover, and it looks like he's walking through either like some sort of museum or some like architectural fancy building. The Vatican, apparently. But first word that like jumped out of my okay. So at Princeton University, a famed geneticist dies inside a biohazard lab in Rome. A Vatican archaeologist is found dead in St. Peter's Basilica. In Africa, a U.S. senator's son is slain outside a Red Cross camp. 3 murder victims on 3 continents, linked by a pagan Druidic symbol cross burned into their flesh. Commander Gray Pierce and Sigma Force have only days to solve an apocalyptic puzzle dating back centuries. Aided by 2 women from his past, one his ex-lover, the other his new partner, Gray must uncover a horrifying secret that threatens America and the world, even if it means sacrificing the life of one of the women at his side. The race is on, from the Roman Colosseum to the icy peaks of Norway to the lost tombs of Celtic kings, and the future hangs in the balance, for humankind's ultimate nightmare is locked within a talisman buried by a dead saint, an ancient artifact known as the Doomsday Key. So this is very sort of Steve Barry, Dan Brown, sort of like end of the world kind of type religious mystery kind of stuff, and those are my favorite mystery stories. Like, I am not a big mystery person unless it's sort of a religious secret type of mystery novel. That I eat that shit up. Love it, love it, love it. And I don't care if you don't like Dan Brown. I can take or leave sort of like his writing kind of style. I like Steve Barry a lot better, but I enjoy Dan Brown. I enjoy like more like his plots more than sort of his writing kind of style. But yeah, so that's that one there. Switching it up, we have Carly Phillips' Lucky Break. Oh, these covers, they were a moment. Long ago, a witch proclaimed an eternal curse that every Corwin male who married for love would be destined to lose his woman and his fortune. Jason Corwin knows he should resist his attraction to Lauren Perkins. After all, it was one of her ancestors who came up with the curse that haunted every Corwin male since. But after one night of mind-blowing sex with his supposed and very seductive enemy, he can't bring himself to stay away. All Lauren wants is to sell her late grandmother's old house and leave the past behind forever. But that's not an easy thing to do with gorgeous contractor Jason Corwin whispering sweet, sexy somethings in her ear about staying. Then a saboteur and the promise of hidden treasure change everything, and one lucky break that just might put an end to the Corwin curse. So that looks like a lot of fun. I'm not one for much of like treasure hunts and curses, but there was something about this one that sort of like, I don't know, it just sort of like made me want to give it a try. And let me just take a drink of the water. Next we have The Defiant Mistress by Claire Thornton. For 8 years, Gabriel Vaughan, Marquis of Halros, has believed he was duped by a clever money-grabbing harlot. He has tried to forget the beauty who left him at the altar, and then an accidental meeting in Venice places her entirely at his mercy. Although Athena Frances Fairchild claims to be innocent, maybe this is just another of her deceptions. It's time to exact a little revenge. So when Athena needs a safe passage back to England, Gabriel sees his chance. Years ago, he would have been proud to have Athena accompany him as his wife. Now Gabriel will insist she travel, dun dun dun, as his mistress. And it's a Harlequin historical, and definitely looking forward to that. You know, love those revenge enemies to lovers. Eva Leigh's The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes, and I've heard a lot of good things about Eva Leigh. I can't remember if I read her before, but there's that. When Kiernan Ransom's latest antics result in a massive scandal, his father issues an ultimatum. Find a respectable wife or inherit nothing. But as one of London's most inveterate scoundrels, Kieran doesn't know any ladies who fit the bill. Or does he? Celeste Kilburn is a society darling, beloved by influential members of the time. But keeping a spotless reputation leaves little room for adventure, and she longs to escape her gilded cage, especially with her impending engagement to a stuffy earl. When Kieran, her older brother's best friend, and an irresistibly attractive rogue, begs for her help, Celeste makes a deal. She'll introduce him to the right social circles if he'll show her the scandalous side of London. In between proper teas and garden parties, Kieran escorts Celeste, disguised as Salome, to rowdy gaming hells, wild fetes, and sensual art salons. As they spend more time together, their initial attraction builds to a desperate desire that neither can ignore. But when someone discovers their midnight exploits, Celeste's freedom and reputation are endangered. And Kieran must save the woman he loves, respectable or not. So that looks like that's going to be a lot of fun. Next, we have one that does not look like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Lawrence Hill's The Book of Negroes. I have heard a lot about this book. So I'm very, very much looking forward to reading it. Let's get the back blurb here. When Aminata Diallo sits down to pen the story of her life in London, England, at the dawn of the 19th century, she has a world of experience behind her. Abducted from her village in West Africa as an 11-year-old child and forced to walk in a coffle, a string of slaves, for months to the sea, Aminata is put to work on an indigo plantation on the Sea Islands of South Carolina. She survives by using midwifery skills learned at her mother's side and by drawing on a strength of character inherited from both her parents. But Aminata remains trapped, narrowly avoiding the violence that cuts short so many lives around her. Eventually, she has the chance to register her name in the Book of Negroes, a historic British military ledger allowing 3,000 black loyalists passage on ships sailing from Manhattan to Nova Scotia. This remarkable novel transports the reader from an African village to a plantation in the southern United States, from a soured refuge in Nova Scotia to the coast of Sierra Leone, in a back-to-Africa odyssey of 1,200 former slaves. The Book of Negroes introduces one of the strongest female characters in recent fiction, a woman who cuts a swath through a world hostile to her color and her sex. Lawrence Hill has transformed a neglected corner of history into a brilliantly imagined and engaging piece of historical fiction. I love, you know, sagas about like strong women, and I'm so looking forward to reading this book, and it will probably be a very hard book, heartbreaking book to read, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. Next, we have The Seamstress by Frances DuPont Peebles. Peebles. And that's such a pretty cover with all the like different spools of thread. And it's there's a note in the front that from December 2010, and I can't make out the signature, but the note says December 2010. It's like 12 years ago. I saw this book and thought of you immediately. I hope this preempts all the success you have in the future, and you know I will be behind you 100% always. That's so sweet! That's the note that they wrote inside. So let me read the blurby blurb. Okay. Okay, that's a hard word. Brazil, 1928. It is a town in Brazil, or a village in Brazil, that I cannot pronounce. Taquaritinga? Taquaritinga do Norte, Brazil, 1928. I totally butchered that, and I know it. As seamstresses, the young sisters Amelia and Lucia de Sant, my Portuguese dumbass. Amelia and Lucia. Oh my God! Why cannot I speak Portuguese all of a sudden? Lucia dos Santos know how to cut, how to mend, and how to conceal. These are useful skills in the lawless backcountry of Brazil, where ruthless land barons called colonels feud with bands of outlaw cangaceiros. Cangaceiros. I don't know this word. I am not familiar with this word. Trapping innocent residents in the crossfire. Amelia, whose knowledge of the world comes from fashion magazines and romance novels, dreams of falling in love with a gentleman and escaping to a big city. Lucia also longs to escape their little town, where residents view her with suspicion and pity. Scarred by a childhood accident that left her with a deformed arm, the quick-tempered Lucia finds her escape in sewing, and in secret prayers to the saints she believes once saved her life. But when Lucia is abducted by a group of famous uh, what sorry, brain fart. But when Lucia is abducted by a group of cangaceiros led by the infamous Hawk, the sisters' quiet lives diverge in ways they never imagined. Amelia stumbles into marriage with Dagish Quelu, the son of a doctor whose wealth is rivaled only by his political power. She moves to the sprawling seaside of Recife, 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 where the glamour of her new life is soon overshadowed by heartache and loneliness. Lucia is forced to trek through scrubland and endure a nomadic existence, proves her determination to survive, and begins to see the cangaceiros as comrades, not criminals. In Recife, Emilia must hide any connection to her increasingly notorious sister as she learns to navigate the treacherous waters of Brazilian high society. Emilia sees the country split apart after a bitter presidential election. Political feuds extend to the countryside, where Lucia and the Hawk are forced to make unexpected alliances and endure betrayals that threaten to break the cangaceiros apart. But Lucia will overcome time and distance to entrust her sister with a great secret, one Emilia vows to keep, and when Lucia's life is threatened, Emilia will risk everything to save her. An enthralling novel of love and courage, loyalty and adventure that brings to life a faraway time and place. The seamstress is impeccably drawn, rich in depth and vision, and heralds the arrival of a supremely talented new writer. So Frances DuPont, yeah, that's a Portuguese name. I guess she married somebody named Peebles. Francis DuPont Peebles was born in Pernambuco, Brazil. So I am very interested in seeing how this goes. This is two sisters who their lives take very different tracks. Very interested in seeing how this goes. Next we have The Family by Naomi Krupitsky, and it's kind of looks like something out of something from like Mario Puzo. Like if you see like Mario Puzo's like the Godfather novels, it's the same sort of font look. So let's see Two daughters, two families, one inescapable fate. Sophia Colicchio is a free spirit, loud and untamed. Antonia Russo is thoughtful, ever observing the world around her. Best friends since birth, they share everything from the brick wall that divides their apartments to the shadow cast by their father's unspoken community, the family. Sunday dinners. Oh, I think this does have to do with the mob. Oh. Sunday dinners gather them to feast, discuss business, renew the intoxicating bond born of blood and love. But the disappearance of Antonia's father drives a whisper-thin wedge between the girls as they grow into women, wives, mothers, and leaders. Their hearts expand in tandem with Red Hook and Brooklyn all around them, even as they push against society's expectations and fight to preserve their complex but life-sustaining friendship. One fateful night, their loyalty to each other and the family will be tested. Only one of them can pull the trigger before it's too late. From an unforgettable new voice in fiction, The Family is a sweeping saga that offers a fresh take on old New York, the American dream, and what it means to inherit the wounds of past generations. So, yeah, I think this has a little bit of a mob, mob sort of vibe. So, you know how much I love mafia fiction. So, and definitely, definitely like two women, best friends growing up sort of in that world. Yes, please. Next we have Everlasting by Kathleen E. Woodiwiss, author of The Fame and the Flower. So she was sort of like, yeah, the queen of historical romance. Everlasting. Once Abrielle's name was on the lips of every unwed nobleman in London as a proud, exceptional lady, coveted for her bearing, her breeding, her wit, and her beauty. But when her stepfather, respected for his courage and valor during the Crusades, is denied his rightful title and the wealth that accompanies it, Abrielle finds herself suddenly disgraced, no longer a suitable match for any proper gentleman. Only one would still have her, though he desires no more than physical pleasure, the oafish and grotesque Desmond de Marley. His dark and scandalous reputation is legend, and Abrielle has heard rumors that his first two wives perished by his hand. Yet no one else can rescue her once proud family's honor and keep her stepfather from debtor's prison, so she is left with no choice but to accept the cruel and hateful de Marley's offer of marriage and sacrifice her virtue to a scoundrel she fears and detests, even as she yearns for another lover. Dashing handsome Scot, excuse me, dashing handsome, tall and kind, a black-haired Scotsman with vivid blue eyes, Raven Seaburn, of course that's his name, is an emissary for his king, and quite unlike any man Abrielle has ever encountered. From the very first moment their eyes meet, he intrigues and mesmerizes her, and dancing in his arms at a royal banquet leaves her weak with the desire to surrender. But their love can never be, for Abrielle is betrothed to a monster, and the well-being of everyone she cares for demands that she honors her promise. Still, the fire lit that night will not be doused. Raven knows he has found the true one, and must never let her go. Though secrets, deceptions, and dishonor, and an unimaginable peril will surely be their fate if they follow the dictates of their hearts. So, cover. Look forward to that. And this one, I am sure many of you have heard of, and I had to get it because the cover has always tickled me to no end. That is, ta-da! My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This cover, y'all. This cover! Look at this cover. It is like vintage 80s YA. Vintage. Like, oh my god. The blurb, quote, book quote. If The Exorcist had been authored by Tina Fey instead of William Peter Blatty. Let's read. Look at. Wait, is it a movie? Is it a movie or is this just pictures? Look at all the little 80s. Like there's the VHS symbol down there. Up there it says, "Be kind, please rewind." I mean, oh my god. And that is the back cover here. I don't like. They look like movie stills. Like, was it a movie? Because, oh my god, if this was a movie, I totally want to watch it. Okay. High school sophomores Abby and Gretchen have been best friends since the 4th grade. But after an evening of skinny dipping goes disastrously wrong, Gretchen begins to act different. She's moody, she's irritable, and bizarre incidents keep happening whenever she's nearby. Abby's investigation leads her to some startling discoveries, and by the time their story reaches its terrifying conclusion, the fate of Abby and Gretchen will be determined by a single question. Is their friendship powerful enough to beat the devil? Like an unholy hybrid of Beaches and The Exorcist. Oh my god! That's a mashup! My Best Friend's Exorcism blends teen angst, adolescent drama, unspeakable horrors, and a mix of 80s pop songs into a pulse-pounding supernatural thriller. Oh my god. Y'all, this looks like it's going to be so entertaining that, dear God, if this was a movie, I would totally, totally watch it. Looking forward to that one. Next, we have The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And this is an ARC copy, not given to me, but I actually just found it. Where is the blurb for it? The back is just sort of a list of different like publicity places that they're like doing their publicity at. Okay, so yeah, this is the blurb. Zachary Ezra Rollins is a graduate student in Vermont when he discovers a mysterious book hidden in the stacks. As he turns the pages, entranced by tales of lovelorn prisoners, key collectors, and nameless acolytes, he reads something strange, a story from his own childhood. Bewildered by this inexplicable book and desperate to make sense of his own life, how his own life came to be recorded, Zachary uncovers a series of clues, a bee, a key, and a sword, that lead him to a masquerade party in New York, to a secret club, and through a doorway to an ancient library hidden far below the surface of the earth. What Zachary finds in this curious place is more than just a buried home for books and their guardians. It's a place of lost cities and seas, lovers who pass notes under doors and across time, and of stories whispered by the dead. Zachary learns of those who have sacrificed much to protect this realm, relinquishing their sight and their tongues to preserve this archive, and also of those who are intent on its destruction. together with Mirabelle, a fierce pink-haired protector of the place, and Dorian, a handsome barefoot man with shifting alliances. Zachary travels the twisting tunnels, darkened stairwells, crowded ballrooms, and sweetly soaked shores of this magical world, discovering his purpose both in the mysterious book and in his own life. So, this is an ARC copy that was not like given to me, but I actually found it on a porch on one of my on the curb of one of my when I went on one of my walks, because I'm not usually a fantasy type reader, but if I happen to find a book, I kind of think okay, it's weird, but I kind of think I'm meant to read it if I sort of discover it in a place where there are not usually books. Like if I'm out on a walk and I see it on a curb somewhere, I kind of get this weird vibe that I'm meant to read the book. That's just my sort of hokey imagination. So yeah, there's that. And lastly, we have Sidney Sheldon's Morning, Noon, and Night. And he, excuse me, I think Sidney Sheldon was a man, writes these sort of glamorous mystery type books. Sort of almost kind of like Jackie Collins, but with more of a mystery bent to them. When Harry Stanford, one of the wealthiest men in the world, mysteriously drowns while cruising on his yacht off the rugged coast of Corsica, it sets off a chain of events that reverberates around the globe. At the family gathering following the funeral in Boston, a strikingly beautiful young woman appears. She claims to be the daughter of Harry Stanford and entitled to a share of the tycoon's estate. Is she genuine or an impostor? The Stanford family is one of the most respected in America, but behind the facade of fame and glamour is a hidden web of blackmail, drugs, and murder. Of course there is. Sidney Sheldon's Morning, Noon, and Night sweeps from the splendors of the Italian Riviera to the fashion salons of Paris and New York, to the elite Boston's Back Bay and the social register of Florida's Hobie Sound. His intriguing story twists and turns its way through smoke and mirrors until the ultimate Sidney Sheldon surprise ending. So yeah, I'm not a big mystery person, but I love it sort of against the backdrop of family secrets and that kind of stuff, and glamorous sort of families. And so yeah, so that is that. So that is my book haul for this month. Also, oh, I forgot that I was gonna do. The winner for the Women in the Castle, Nicias 2018. I will be contacting them for their mailing address to get this book. She was the one person entered for this giveaway, so she will be getting, she or he, I apologize, will be getting this book, The Women in the Castle by Jessica Shattuck. So there we go for that. I almost forgot to do, because I knew that one person had entered, so I knew that I didn't have to do the draw for it. So the book will be going directly to them. I'll just have to get their mailing address. Let me get for this month's giveaway. I do not have the dust jacket for it, but I will be giving away Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. So if you would like to, again, I don't have the dust jacket for it, so it's just going to be like that. And is the blurb any chance the blurb is like on the inside, so I can, and it is sort of his, it is basically the memoir of Frank McCourt growing up very, very poor in Ireland, and his like sort of beginning life of becoming an author. And so it is, I just, yeah, it's really, really highly recommend this story. It's very, very powerful, very moving. And if you would like to be entered, all I ask is that you not have won anything in the last 3 months, to give somebody a chance to, somebody new to enter, a chance to enter, a chance to win. All you have to do is leave a comment. Leave a comment on this video if you would like to be entered to win Frank McCourt's Angela's Ashes. And I will pick the winner for in next month's book haul. So I will be picking the winner in the video for the December book haul. Yeah, so that's going to be it for this week's video. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie, like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!